Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first event in the Galileo K-12 Online webinar series, a brief interactive overview of Galileo K-12 Online. Assessment Technology Incorporated will be hosting regular webinars to introduce prospective clients to our instructional improvement and effectiveness system. These series of webinars will include demonstrations of technology that enables you to build, rapidly disseminate, and implement your own local digital curriculum online. And 2, assessment technology created for our comprehensive assessment system that enables you to use information from assessment data to both adjust your curriculum as needed and to establish intervention groups to be provided differentiated instruction. My name is Baron Arena, and I'm one of the field service coordinators at Assessment Technology Incorporated. ATI is a Tucson, Arizona-based company which was founded back in 1986. We are fortunate to work with hundreds of schools and districts nationwide from Hawaii to Massachusetts and to everywhere in between. In today's event, we will provide an overview of the robust features of Galileo, including curriculum, assessment, instructional effectiveness, and reporting tools. During the session, participants will experience a guided demonstration including how to navigate through Galileo and access dashboards from which to view and interact with actionable, real-time data on student learning and instructional effectiveness measures. Additionally, participants will view the newly redesigned student testing interface through the K-12 Student Parent Center. To start, let's go ahead and navigate to the Galileo website. This is our website. I navigated to ati-online.com. Galileo is a web-based application that can be accessed from wherever you have access to an internet connection and does not require you install software locally. From our main website, you can access information about our company or additional information about Galileo K-12 or our other products. First, you'll note that Galileo is more than just an assessment tool. It's a complete instructional improvement and effectiveness system, which includes a comprehensive assessment system, including formative tests, benchmark tests, pre-post tests, end-of-course tests, early literacy, and early math tests, all of which can be administered either online or offline. A digital curriculum platform allowing teachers to plan and implement curriculum, differentiated instruction, and assessment activities. Teacher and administrative dashboards for quick access to information. An instructional effectiveness component that couples assessment data to classroom and administrative observation information. Our community assessment and item banking initiative to assess students in the non-state tested areas. And the list goes on. But I invite you to come back and learn more about these later. Or better yet, sit in on the rest of the series of events to learn more about these features firsthand. But enough talking, let's actually get into Galileo. So since we're on the main website, I'm going to navigate to our homepage where we can access the homepage where you can access different logins for Galileo. We'll go ahead and we're going to be focusing on using these two areas within Galileo, the Galileo K-12 site, which is where staff would log into, as well as the K-12 Student Parent Center, where students and their parents would log in to Galileo. And I already have a demo area set up that we can use. This is our splash screen that comes on when we have new features that we can show within the system or any enhancements, and you can skip these, or you can have them shown to you later, or you can just skip them altogether. This is the basic look and feel of Galileo. You have access to the different areas within Galileo. Up at the top, you have access to the setup, assessment, curriculum, student and family, and reports tab. And depending on which tab you have selected determines what you're able to do. So if I'm in the setup tab, for example, I'm able to get to school and class information, modify that information. Data setup and what might apply for my student information management system, and that data that comes in through there. Setting up our staff and our student/family accounts. Then if I click on the assessment tab, I'm able to go to test planning, which is where we construct your benchmark assessments. Test construction, in order for the teacher and or other staff to construct their own tests or quizzes and use the automated scoring key feature within Galileo. They can do the test scheduling, test administration, test scoring, printing, because as you remember, you can both test online as well as offline. We have our curriculum tab that allows users to look at the digital curriculum platform, which we'll be showing more on a future webinar. Our instructional dialogues, which are our online activities and instruction that is built within Galileo. Curriculum scheduling allows you to schedule those assignments and lessons. Student and family information for modifying your student information management system data. So if you need to manually put in a student or modify some information on the students or classes, you can do that. And then finally, the reports tab, where you can access many of the reports that are available within the system, or all the reports that are available within the system, including test scores, standards mastery reports, test sets, monitoring of the tests, test properties, and even doing custom assessments. Depending on which tab you're on determines, depending on which page you're on, it'll show you which page you're currently have set active, and I've clicked on the dashboard. I'm also able to see what district, school year, school, and class information I have selected, if I do have any of that selected. And then lastly, we have access to our quick links, which gives us quick access to our dashboard, our settings, some help information, technical support, or we can log out as examples. So this is the class dashboard. And from here, you can access, this is the typical teaching dashboard where a teacher would come in and they would log in and see recent events on their class. Keep in mind, I'm also able, since I'm logged in a little bit higher level, I'm able to see information about school performance. So I can look at some of the administrative dashboards, including school performance and instructional effectiveness. But we're going to focus on the class dashboard today. A teacher, let's say they were, preparing to administer assessment before, they went in to schedule the assessment. They could come in and, let's say, double check their class rosters, print a class roster, access the student passwords, access any upcoming events so they can see any tests that have been scheduled for today or in the future, any recent events, any tests that have been taken today or in the past, and the respective reports that go along with those. These are some of the popular reports that you might want to access. Otherwise, the user could go to the Reports tab and access an additional set of reports. We also have access to the risk level summary, which shows, based off of performance on multiple tests, kind of the risk of the students either passing or not passing the statewide assessment. They're either on course, low risk, moderate risk, high risk, and if they click into there, it'll give them some recommendations about what to do. And lastly is our student growth and achievement reports, where they can choose two tests that they want to compare, and it will show growth information. So any students on that line or to the right of that line have exceeded our growth expectation, or proficiency information. Any students on that green line or above that green line would be expected to, let's say, pass a statewide assessment. So if a teacher wanted to schedule a test within Galileo, they could do that a number of ways. They would typically click on the class calendar from here, but additionally, they could come up to the top and they could select the class calendar from the drop-down menu as well. In addition, any school or district level users would have access to the bulk schedule, where they could bulk schedule one test for multiple classes. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and go to the class calendar. And from here, it shows a calendar of events for the current month. If we wanted to select a future April or go back to February, we could just simply click back and forth on the calendar there. You can see what tests have already been scheduled for my class. And we can also schedule in a lesson, assignment, tests, etc. from the links up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that we want to schedule a test. And from here, the user is able to select which class they want to schedule the test for, if they have one class or multiple classes. They're able to select a library from which they want to schedule the tests. I have, for example, the ATI created formative assessments that have already been built and are aligned to the various grade levels and subjects that they have access to scheduling those assessments. In addition, once they would select their instructor of record information, that's actually filled in by default, they can select what dates this test is available from and when it's available until, the days of the week that it's available, as well as the time of the day that is available. They can choose to post the student scores on a certain date, override the default calculator information, as well as randomize the order of the test question, always a good idea in an online assessment. And then lastly, whether they want to choose a password or have no password selected at all. And then once they have the test scheduled, the student is able to log in and then begin taking the assessment online. So I was going to jump into the K-12 Student Parent Center, and we'll demonstrate that to you now. So I've gone back to our main website, and I still have the option of selecting, the various login screen. This time I'm going to go ahead and choose the K-12 Student Parent Center to log in. And we're going to log in as another Play student. And you'll see that the student dashboard looks a little bit different than the K-12 login area or the K-12 area. So it's kind of meant to look that way. They have access to the kind of the dashboard screen that shows any tests that are upcoming. They can also do a calendar view. They can access a full calendar page, some notes, files, etc. They can change the selected language that they want to view the student center in. It's also a parent center. If they want to change the school year, they can update that information, or they can view their profile information. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and take one of the tests that we already have scheduled. And this will be an example of some of the what we call a technology enhanced or innovative items, that you can look at that are available within the Galileo system. I'm logged in as a student, Alyssa Acosta. I'm able to see the question number that I'm currently on. I'm able to advance to the next question, see how much of this test has already been completed. And since this is a demo area, we've actually been in here and taken this test multiple times. So we'll see some of the questions have already been answered. But I'm able, for example, this question down here, question number 1. Is one of our custom HTML questions, or you might just call it an interactive, type question. So the students are supposed to, correctly represent this line being graphed down below, and they can select multiple lines from which to choose from, and then they can shade, the area of that would encompass this area. And once they're done, they simply advance to the next question, and they're presented with the next question. This is an example of one of our standard multiple choice questions. However, it does use a calculator, so we're able to click on the calculator and manipulate, the values and come up with a response. I will also show you that there's a drop-down menu, and we can, for example, do strike through. We can eliminate any responses, therefore, kind of narrowing down the answer choices so that they can more easily get the correct response. In addition to that, they can mark a question for review if they want to come back and check it later, or they can add a note that would stay with this item. I'll show you some of the other pieces later when we get to some of the ELA questions, perhaps. This is an interactive, a custom HTML or interactive question as well. The student's supposed to compute what the similar volume would be for moving the contents of planter 1 to planter 2. This is where the students are plotting coordinates. This is our sequencing type questions where they can change the order in place. They can change the order. So this would be used, let's say, to sort from least to greatest, or order of operations, or even a series of events in ELA. It might be appropriate for that as well. This is an interactive text question. So beyond the standard multiple choice, what they're doing is they're actually having to go back into the question to answer, or into the text to answer the question. So here, they're supposed to click on one of the answer choices in order to, choose the correct answers. This can also be used in ELA to, find a misspelling on a paragraph, or where a main character was introduced, etc. This is an example of our expanded multiple choice type questions. In addition to having more than 4 answer choices, which might be typical on a multiple choice assessment, there's there in this case there's 5. There can be 6, 7, 8 answer choices, and there are typically more than one correct answer choice. So the student is expected to choose all the expressions that are equivalent. Click on the infinitely repeating digits. This again is an interactive text question. This one is where they would label the parts of a cell. This is more of a science type question. Again, let's see, orbital position in which the moon is waxing crescent phase. So they can click on whichever spot would be correct. I have no idea which is the correct answer on this one. I'm going to go ahead and jump to another question here. This jumps to our ELA. Actually, this jumps to our ELA question. And this gives you an example of maybe a multi-part question where the student is expected to answer a question above and then elaborate on that. This is a little unusual in that it's an extended response type question. These are not typically in our assessment items, but it is an example of items that are available within the system, and these will not be scored by the system, and the teacher or someone else would typically be responsible for scoring those. Okay, I got a question. Is this system available in French or Spanish? While the Student Parent Center can be translated into any language, the tests are available in English only at this point. All right, this is another example of a multi-part question. However, this kind of will show you the example of they can increase the size of the field for the text or the passage, and they can read the passage a little bit more easily, and when they're ready, they can view the test questions. Additionally, I did say I was going to show you the highlighting capabilities, so they could come in here and they could highlight some of the text within the passage to help them answer. And you can see there's a multiple choice question as well as an expanded multiple choice question down below where there's more than one answer choice. Again, multi-part question, expanded multiple choice question. Here's a sequencing, so this is like the order of events. All right, and what I wanted to show you here was the review page. So once they're done taking the test, they're able to review their answers and see, if there's any questions that they've marked for or flagged to come back and view later. If they have not been answered, they can also go back and they can click on that question number and continue answering that test. But once they're done, they just would simply exit the test. All right, so that completes the student testing piece. I'd like to jump back actually into the K-12 student parent, the K-12 online area, and now we are logged back in as the teacher would be. So once the test has been scheduled and the tests have been administered, the teacher is able to go back, or the administrators are able to go back, and they're able to view the reports from that data on those assessments that we've just administered. So I can click in here and I can view any assessments that have recently been administered in my classroom. I'm going to choose a test that's already has a little bit of data with it. So I'm going to stick with this demo math 5th grade test number 3. And actually, even while the students are taking the test, they're able to go in and monitor this assessment. So I'm able to see the students' names along the side and whether they've completed the test. It'll have a little check mark next to it. I'm also able to see if there are any unanswered questions. Those would typically show up as a white box with some dashes going through them. I don't see any on this particular assessment. They're able to see which questions they've got right, which questions they've got wrong, what percentage of the class got each question correct. So 43% of the class answered question number 1 right, whereas 86% of the class got, 43% of the class got question number 2 right, and then 86% of the class got question number 1 correct. All right, so that is the test monitoring page, and this page can be set to refresh every 15 seconds so that as the students are going through the test, this page would be refreshing and you'd see these answers kind of populating themselves. Well, let's go back to the dashboard. And now we can access, for example, a detailed item analysis report. And what this report allows us to do is it starts linking the actual question to the standard. So it'll show, sorry about this, I'm kind of on a play area here. So on question number 1, this is the link. This is the standard which is linked to this particular question. Question number 2, question number 3. We can see what the answer choices were, A, B, C, D. So these were multiple choice type questions. We can see the correct response being A. And 64.29% of my class answered A, 35% answered B, and none answered C or D. And we can click on the standard, or we could click on the percentage of students who answered each one of the answer choices, see who the students are, and then click on the standard to actually see the question itself and see, well, why was it that some of these students were navigating, or distracted by answer choice B, and help them hopefully in the future not make those same mistakes. So this is an example. That would be an example of our item analysis report. Click back on the dashboard, and kind of the last report that I wanted to show you in here is our intervention alert report. And this report shows you all the students' names along the top, as well as all the standards listed along the side. And we can see how many questions are relate to each particular standard. But you'll notice that we're not focused so much on the questions, but instead focused on the actual standard itself. So we can see whether students were either exceeding the standard, meaning that they demonstrated 80% mastery, meeting the standard, 60% mastery, approaching the standard, which would be not passing, or so 40% mastery, or falling far below. And these levels can be customized by the school and or district. So this is some sample performance levels we have, but you could change them to something more like proficient, highly proficient, minimally proficient, etc. Then I want to, in addition to this, I can come in and I can select a particular standard or standards, and identify a standard that has more red, or is a standard that maybe I thought the class should have done a little bit better on. This standard where there's less students who have identified as in red, meaning that we may not need to do group intervention, but maybe individualized or small group intervention for this group. But I'm going to focus on this kind of standard where the students in general didn't do well. And we can scroll down, and we can access some of the content that is available through the Galileo system. And this would include our instructional dialogues, as well as any external content that we link to. And that might include, for example, Khan Academy data. We're also working with some other companies to link to their content as well. So I'll show you as an example. We could click on the Galileo resources that are available. I'll go ahead and click on a Khan Academy link, see if that comes up for you. And we could play this video. I'll go ahead and turn on the speakers for a second.
Plus 1/4 is, and to help us, I have a visual.
All right. So that was kind of the last report that I wanted to show you. And before we move on to the questions and answers, just really quickly, I want to show you that help is never very far away. If you click on the help link within the quick links bar, you're able to go in and view our step-by-step directions. So if I wanted to go in and see, well, how do I go in and build an assessment within the system? I can go to the assessment tab, I can go to test construction, and then instructions on how to build a test. And you'll see there's step-by-step instructions on each one of the process of constructing this test within Galileo. In addition to that, there's handouts which are available through the system and a video. And if any videos are available, you'll see links to those as well. So I did answer some of the questions while I was going through the actual presentation as well. But I will, let's see if there's any other questions. So I had a question about how much does Galileo cost? Galileo's licensed on a per student basis. So it would be, it's licensed by the number of students that you plan on testing. You would want to talk to your field service coordinator and get a quotation for that. So you would just pay for the number of students that you would plan on testing. And we would support that. So what grades and subjects are covered? Well, we support, you saw the math and ELA questions that we have. That would include reading and writing with ELA subject. Math, we would cover basically K through 12, reading and math, math going up to Algebra 2, and then science, K through 8, and then biology, chemistry, physics, earth science, I believe. So, all right, so let me go ahead and start wrapping this up if you don't mind. As I wrap up, I want to let you know how you can learn more about Galileo K-12 Online. The best way is to schedule a personalized walkthrough for you and other members of your school and your district. This way you can learn more firsthand about Galileo. We'll be able to, speak with you and find out what your particular needs are. You'll be able to see Galileo in action and ask any questions that you might have about Galileo. You can sign up for a walkthrough by going to our website and clicking on the Galileo overview icon in the upper right-hand corner. In addition, you can send us an email or call the phone number listed on this page. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook. And as I mentioned previously, this event is the first in a series, and I would recommend that you sign up for future presentations. All the dates and times are listed in this slide. If you're unable to attend, these events will be recorded for future viewing. So if that is it, this basically concludes our presentation, and I want to thank you for attending today's Galileo webinar series.